There is a specific, terrifying realization that begins to haunt you when you cross the 40-year mark and you are still not financially free. It's not the panic of youth, where you feel like you have forever to fix mistakes. It is the crushing, silent weight of time running out. You look in the mirror and you see the graying hair, the lines around your eyes. You feel the energy levels dipping just a little bit every year. And you look at your bank account, your mortgage balance, your car payments, and your retirement savings, or lack thereof, and a cold dread washes over you. You realize that you have been working for 20 or 25 years. You have traded the prime energy of your youth for money. You are likely earning the most you have ever earned in your life. And yet, if you stopped working tomorrow, your entire life would collapse within 60 days. You are not free. You are a highly paid, highly stressed wage slave, tethered to a job you might tolerate, or perhaps even hate, because you have built a massive, hungry life machine that requires a constant, massive injection of cash just to maintain the status quo. You are running on a treadmill that is set to a speed that is exhausting you, but you are terrified to jump off because you think you will break your neck. If you are over 40 and feeling this way, I am here to tell you that 2026 is your deciding year. The runway is ending. The time for playing games, for pretending, for faking it until you make it, is over. If you enter this new year with the same habits, the same mindset, and the same behaviors that defined the last 2 decades of your life, you are sealing your fate. You are choosing to work until you drop. But why? Why are so many smart, hardworking, educated, capable people over 40 still running on this treadmill, getting nowhere fast? Why does it feel like the harder you work and the more you earn, the more trapped you become? Warren Buffett, a man who built one of the greatest fortunes in human history, starting from absolutely nothing, has sounded a warning about this exact situation. It is not a warning about picking the wrong stocks. It is not a warning about inflation, recession, or the economy. It is a warning about a single, destructive, insidious, and almost universal habit that is the root cause of financial failure in the middle and upper middle class in America. If you are over 40 and you are still engaging in this one specific behavior, Buffett warns that you will never be free. Not in 2026. Not ever. You will die with debt, regret, and unfulfilled potential. Today we are going to have an uncomfortable conversation. We are going to shine a bright, harsh light on this habit that is hiding in plain sight in your life. We are going to dissect why it is so incredibly difficult to break after 40, why it is keeping you poor despite your decent income, and exactly, step by step, what you must do in 2026 to surgically remove it from your life before it's too late. Phase 1. The diagnosis. The trap of the successful adult. Before I reveal the habit, we must deeply understand the trap you are likely currently in. When you are in your 20s, being broke is almost a rite of passage. You are expected to have a crappy car, live in a cheap apartment with roommates, and eat ramen noodles. There is no shame in it because you have potential. You are just starting out. But something shifts profoundly in your 30s and solidifies like concrete in your 40s. Society expects you to have made it. You are supposed to be established. And we internalize that expectation deeply. We feel a profound, unspoken pressure to look the part of a successful, competent, middle-aged adult. So, what do? We follow the script that was handed to us. We get the good job with the impressive title. We get married. We buy the house, usually the absolute biggest and most expensive one the bank will pre-approve us for, in the right school district because it's a good investment. We lease 2 nice new cars every 3 years because driving an old beater at 45 feels embarrassing and signals failure to the world. We go on vacations that look absolutely amazing on Instagram, even if we are stressed the whole time about how much they cost. We put our kids in expensive travel sports leagues and private lessons. We upgrade the kitchen with quartz countertops and professional-grade appliances we rarely use. We buy the right clothes with the right labels to wear to the office, so we fit in with the other executives. On the outside, from the perspective of your neighbors, your colleagues, your parents, and your Facebook friends, you are crushing it. You are living the American dream. You look successful, but on the inside, behind closed doors, you are drowning. You are sweating. You are making $100,000, maybe $150,000, or even $250,000 a year, combined household income. And yet you have almost zero liquidity. Every single dollar is spoken for before it even comes in. It goes to the massive mortgage, the 2-car leases, the high insurance premiums, the property taxes, the private school tuition, the credit card minimums for the furniture you financed at 0% interest that is about to reset to 25%. You are what financial experts call a Henry, high earner, not rich yet. And at 40 plus, the yet part is starting to feel a lot like never. You are chronically exhausted because you have to keep performing at a peak level at work just to service the massive debt load that maintains the image of your success. You are terrified of a recession, a layoff, or a health crisis because your entire lifestyle is a house of cards built on monthly cash flow. If that flow stops for even 60 days, the whole thing comes crashing down. This is not freedom. This is golden handcuffs. You have used your high income not to buy freedom, but to build a beautiful, comfortable, highly leveraged prison for yourself. And the reason you built this prison, the reason you are still stuck in it over 40, and the reason it is so hard to escape, is the habit that Warren Buffett is warning you about. Phase 2, the reveal, the external scorecard. What is this one habit that is destroying your future? It is not drinking too many lattes. It is not buying too many shoes or too many video games. Those are just symptoms of the disease. The habit that will keep you financially enslaved forever if you are over 40 is living your life by an external scorecard. This is a core, fundamental concept in Buffett's philosophy of life and money. He believes the world is divided into 2 types of people, those who live by an inner scorecard and those who live by an outer scorecard. People who live by an outer scorecard define their success, their self-worth, their happiness, and their decisions based on how the world perceives them. They need the external validation of the big house in the right zip code, the new luxury car in the driveway, the impressive job title on LinkedIn, the designer clothes, the children who go to the prestigious college. Their primary motivation, consciously or subconsciously, is to impress others, to evoke envy, to fit in, or to avoid looking like a failure in the eyes of their peers, their parents, or society at large. Warren Buffett is the ultimate supreme example of living by an inner scorecard. He defines success completely on his own terms, based on his own values and standards. He does not care one iota what you think of him or his lifestyle. Think about the absurdity of his life through the lens of the modern outer scorecard. He is one of the richest men who ever lived. He could have the biggest yacht in the world. He could own a private island. He could live in a 50,000 square foot penthouse in Manhattan overlooking Central Park. He could wear custom-made Italian suits and drive a different Bugatti every day of the week. No one would question it. Instead, he still lives in the same nice but modest, pleasant house in Omaha that he bought in 1958 for $31,500. He has lived there for over 60 years. He drives a Cadillac that is several years old, and he only buys a new one when his daughter nags him that his current one is getting embarrassing, and even then, he often buys it used with hail damage to get a discount. He eats breakfast at McDonald's every morning on his way to work, spending less than $4. He wears suits bought off the rack or made by a local tailor. Why? Is he a miser? Is he cheap? No. He is simply completely, utterly indifferent to your opinion of his lifestyle. He knows he is successful. He knows he is good at what he does. He doesn't need to prove it to you by lighting money on fire to buy things he doesn't genuinely enjoy. His self-worth is internal. Now contrast that with the typical 45-year-old professional today. You have worked hard to get where you are. You are making real money for the first time in your life. The temptation to show that success to the world is overwhelming. You feel you deserve the rewards of your hard work. So, instead of living by an inner scorecard, which would say, I value freedom, security, and time with my family above all else, so I will live way below my means and invest the rest to buy back my time, you adopt the outer scorecard. You buy the BMW X5 on a lease because that's what a successful vice president at your company should drive. You stretch to the absolute limit to buy the house that signals, I have arrived. And here is the profound tragedy of it all. You are spending money you don't have, debt, to buy things you don't even really need or get lasting joy from, to impress people you don't even like, and who mostly aren't paying attention anyway because they are too busy worrying about their own outer scorecard. This habit is catastrophic because it scales perfectly with your income. This is the mechanism of lifestyle creep. When you get a big raise at 50, instead of saving that extra money to buy your freedom faster, the outer scorecard demands that you upgrade your lifestyle to match your new status. You get the bigger house, the nicer car, the more expensive club membership. You absorb the raise instantly into new overhead. This is why people can earn millions of dollars over a 40-year career and retire broke. As long as your self-worth is tied to your net worth's visible manifestations, you will never have enough. There will always be someone with a bigger house, a newer car, a better vacation, smarter kids. You are running a race you cannot win, on a treadmill set to a speed that will eventually kill you. Phase 3. The anatomy of the addiction. Why it's so hard after 40. Why is this specific habit so incredibly difficult to break once you pass 40? Why do we cling to these status symbols like life rafts even when they are the anchors dragging us to the bottom? It's because by midlife, our spending has become inextricably intertwined with our identity. In your 20s, you are still figuring out who you are. Your stuff is just stuff. It doesn't define you. In your 40s, your stuff has become a proxy for who you are. You are the guy with the nice car. You are the couple with the beautiful house for hosting parties. You are the family that goes to Europe every summer. If you have been that person for 15 years, selling the luxury car and driving a 10-year-old Honda Civic feels like a death of part of your ego. It feels like a public admission of defeat. It feels like walking into the office and saying to the world, "I'm not actually doing as well as I pretended to be. I am failing." The fear of humiliation, of social downgrading, is a more powerful motivator for humans than the desire for wealth or freedom. We would rather be secretly broke and look rich than be secretly rich and look average. We would rather suffer in private than be judged in public. Furthermore, there is the massive sunk cost of your lifestyle infrastructure. You have spent 20 years building a complex life, the house with its high taxes and maintenance, the club memberships, the private school ecosystem. Dismantling this infrastructure is incredibly painful and complicated. Changing course now requires blowing up the life you built. It requires difficult, painful conversations with your spouse, who may enjoy the current lifestyle and not want to change. It requires disappointing your children, who have grown accustomed to a certain standard of living financed by your stress and debt. It requires facing the judgment of your parents or in-laws. So, instead of facing the short-term pain of downsizing, we double down. We tell ourselves comforting lies. I'll just work harder. I'll get that next promotion, and then I'll save. I'll make one big investment score and pay it all off. We keep feeding the beast of the external scorecard, hoping that one day it will be satisfied. But it never is. It is a bottomless pit. Let's look at the brutal mathematics of this addiction to understand the true cost. Let's take two common midlife status traps: cars and houses. The car trap. Let's say at age 40 you decide you deserve a luxury car. You lease a $65,000 BMW or Mercedes. The payment is roughly $900 a month. You do this every 3 years, getting a new one for the next 20 years, until you are 60. Over those 20 years, you will spend $216,000 in lease payments alone, plus higher insurance, plus premium gas. At the end of 20 years, you have absolutely nothing to show for it. You own 0 cars. You just rented prestige for 2 decades. Now what if you adopted the Buffett inner scorecard? What if at age 40, you bought a reliable 3-year-old used Toyota or Honda for $25,000 cash, or a small, quickly paid-off loan, and you drove it for 10 years, and then you did it again at 50? Your total capital cost for cars over 20 years might be $50,000. More importantly, what if you took that $900 a month lease payment you didn't spend and invested it in an S&P 500 index fund instead? Over 20 years, at an 8% average return, that money would grow to over $500,000. The cost of looking successful in the company parking lot was $500,000 of your retirement freedom. Was the ego boost worth it? The house trap. You buy the dream house at 45 for $800,000, stretching your budget to the limit because interest rates were low. You have a massive mortgage. But the mortgage is just the beginning. You have high property taxes that go up every year. You have expensive insurance. You have heating and cooling for 4,000 square feet. You have landscaping. You have constant maintenance, a new roof, a new furnace, painting. That house is not an asset. It is a liability that you live in. It is a massive consumption machine that eats your cash flow every month. You are house poor. You have a beautiful place to live, but you can never leave it to travel because you can't afford to. You can't take a less stressful job because you need the high salary to pay the mortgage. Your dream house has become your debtor's prison. When you look at the math this starkly, the external scorecard looks like insanity. It is financial suicide in slow motion. Yet millions of us do it every single day because the social pressure, the ego attachment, and the habit are too strong to resist without a conscious, radical intervention. Phase 4. The 2026 intervention, the cure. If you are over 40 and you recognize yourself in this description, if you feel that knot of recognition in your stomach right now, I have good news and bad news. The good news is that you can fix it. You are not doomed. You can break free from the matrix of the external scorecard. The bad news is that it is going to be one of the hardest, most uncomfortable things you have ever done in your life. It is not a tweak. It is not a life hack. It requires a total reprogramming of your values and a dismantling of your ego. It requires what I call the 2026 intervention. You have to decide, right now, today, that 2026 is the year you switch from an external scorecard to an internal scorecard. You have to decide that your actual freedom is more important than your imagined image. Here is the step-by-step cure, inspired by Buffett's radical indifference to public opinion. Step 1. The brutal approval audit. January. You need to go through your entire financial life with a scalpel and identify every single expense that exists primarily for other people, not for your genuine happiness or utility. Look at your house. Is it the size it is because you need the space? Or because it signals your status to the world? Look at your cars. Do you love driving them for the engineering, or do you love that people look at you when you drive them? Look at your clothes, your watches, your handbags. Look at where you vacation and why you chose that location. Look at the gifts you buy for others. Be brutally honest with yourself. Ask this question for every major item. If no one else in the world would ever know I owned or did this, would I still spend this much money on it? If the answer is no, it's an external scorecard expense. It is a tax you are paying to your ego. Make a list of these items and calculate exactly how much they are costing you per month in payments, interest, insurance, and maintenance. The number will shock you. It is likely thousands of dollars a month. That number is the exact price of your slavery. Step 2. The ego downsize and the social fallout. February, June. This is the painful part where the rubber meets the road. This is where you have to physically dismantle the facade you have built. You have to start selling the symbols of your fake success to buy real freedom. It might mean selling the big house and moving into a townhouse or a rental that costs half as much. Yes, your friends will whisper that you must be having financial trouble. Let them. You know the truth. You are buying your life back. It definitely means getting rid of the luxury car leases. Turn them in. Take the hit. Buy a reliable used car for cash that nobody notices. Drive it with pride because it represents freedom, not debt. It means canceling the expensive club memberships you don't use. It means telling your kids that Christmas is going to be scaled back this year because the family is prioritizing freedom over stuff. This process is humiliating to the ego. You feel like you are moving backward in life. You feel like you are admitting failure. You must reframe this powerfully in your mind. You are not moving backward. You are stepping off a treadmill that was going nowhere but down. You are downsizing your ego to upsize your bank account and your peace of mind. You are trading looking rich for becoming wealthy. Step 3. Defining your internal scorecard. Ongoing. Once you strip away the performance, what is left? What actually makes you genuinely happy when no one is watching? Buffett knows what makes him happy. Reading annual reports, playing bridge online with friends, talking to Charlie Munger when he was alive, eating a good steak, drinking a cherry Coke. It's a remarkably simple life. For 2026, you need to define success on your own terms, not society's. Maybe success for you is not a BMW in the driveway. It's knowing that if you got fired tomorrow, you could live for 2 years without a job because you have zero debt and money in the bank. Maybe success is being able to afford to take a lower-paying, less stressful job that you actually enjoy, and that allows you to see your kids' soccer games and be present for dinner. Maybe success is simply sleeping through the night for the first time in 10 years without worrying about how you're going to pay the bills next month. When you define success internally based on freedom, time, and peace, the urge to spend money to impress others evaporates. You realize how hollow it was. You realize that the people you were trying to impress didn't care about you anyway. They were too busy worrying about their own outer scorecard. Conclusion: the fork in the road and the final ultimatum. If you are over 40, 2026 is not just another year. It is a definitive fork in the road for the rest of your life. Down one path lies the continued pursuit of the external scorecard. It is the path of least resistance. It is the comfortable path today. You keep doing what you're doing. You keep financing a lifestyle you can't afford. You keep pretending. You keep hoping for a miracle, save that isn't coming. But let's be crystal clear about where that path ends. It ends with you working into your 70s because you have to, not because you want to. It ends with a retirement full of anxiety, forced downsizing when you are too old and sick to handle the stress, and relying on a dwindling Social Security check to survive. It ends with the bitter late realization that you spent your one and only life making bankers and car companies rich instead of making yourself free. Down the other path lies the Buffett way, the internal scorecard. It is the hard path today. It requires courage. It requires you to swallow your pride. It requires you to drive an older car and live in a smaller house than your peers. It requires you to be misunderstood and perhaps judged by people who are still trapped in the matrix of consumerism. But it leads to freedom. Imagine reaching 55 or 60 and being completely debt-free, including your house. Imagine having a massive investment portfolio compounding in the background, generating cash while you sleep. Imagine walking into work every day not because you are terrified of being fired and losing everything, but because you choose to be there. And knowing that if the boss annoys you or the job becomes toxic, you can walk away without a second thought and be completely fine. That is power. That is dignity. That is what Warren Buffett has. And it has nothing to do with having billions of dollars. It has everything to do with not needing anyone else's permission or approval to live your life the way you want to. The warning has been sounded. The trap has been revealed. The choice is now yours, and time is running out. Will 2026 be another year of performing for an audience that doesn't care? Or will it be the year you finally leave the stage, break the habit, smash the external scorecard, and reclaim the rest of your life for yourself?